The foreclosure report that America's banks actually read just published its latest numbers, and Florida did something no other state did. In April, Florida ranked #1 in the entire country for new foreclosure starts. 3,505 homes entered the pipeline in a single month, more than Texas, more than California, more than any other state in the union. In the first quarter, 1 in every 750 Florida homes had a foreclosure filing, the third highest rate in America. And the homes banks actually took back? In Florida, that number more than doubled in 1 year, from 487 to 1,014. But here's what they are not telling you. Foreclosures data is a time machine. Every filing in this report started as a missed payment 18 months ago, when everyone still believed the boom was permanent. This report isn't describing today's market. It's describing damage that already happened, finally surfacing. Number 10. Spring Hill, Hernando County, the budget buyer's town, which is exactly why it's on this list. Foreclosure waves don't start with mansions. They start with the households that had zero slack. And Spring Hill is a town built almost entirely of zero-slack budgets. First-time buyers and fixed-income retirees who stretched to buy in 2021 and 2022 with nothing left for surprises. Then the surprises arrived on schedule. Florida's average homeowner's insurance premium climbed to somewhere between $5,800 and $8,500 a year, roughly 3 times the national average. Property taxes were reassessed off peak values. Roofs and HVAC systems on aging block homes started failing. And here's the part the listing never showed you. The monthly mortgage payment Spring Hill buyers signed up for in 2021 isn't the monthly payment they pay today. The principal and interest are fixed. Everything stapled to them, the insurance escrow, the tax escrow, the assessment, is not. The first domino in a foreclosure wave is never the biggest house on the block. It's the tightest budget on the block. Spring Hill is a town of tight budgets, and it's the warning sign for everything that follows on this list, because the next town shows what happens when the math on a beautiful low mortgage rate quietly stops working. Number 9. Deltona, Volusia County, the commuter city where the escrow letter became scarier than the mortgage. Here's the trap nobody warned Deltona's buyers about. They locked in beautiful low rates in 2021. The principal and interest never changed. But the escrow, taxes plus insurance did. Renewal after renewal, the monthly payment crept up on households that bought at their absolute maximum. That's the signature of this entire wave. Defaults by people with great rates. The mortgage didn't break them. The envelope stapled to it did. Volusia now sits among Florida's elevated filing counties, and the local docket tells the rest of the story. List pendants notices in Deltona's 2021 and 2022 vintage subdivisions are now filed at a pace this market hasn't seen since the previous decade. Deltona's buyers did everything the rulebook said. The rulebook just never mentioned that in Florida, the fixed-rate mortgage is the only part of the payment that's actually fixed. Number 8. Ocala, Marion County, horse country, and one of the quietest distress stories in the state. Ocala boomed late. When coastal Florida got expensive, the affordability migration pushed inland, and Marion County's prices jumped sharply in a market where local wages never moved. That gap, prices set by arriving money, defaults paid by local paychecks, is now closing the ugly way. Marion County made ATTOM's list of America's most at-risk housing markets in late 2025, on the strength of rising foreclosures and stretched local affordability. And there's a tell here the data nerds will love. FHA and VA loans cluster heavily in Ocala. The 2026 FHA loan limit for Marion County is $541,287. And those low down payment loans are exactly where early stage delinquency is rising fastest nationally. Thin down payments, peak prices, flat wages. Ocala isn't an exception to the wave, it's the textbook. Number 7, Palm Bay, Brevard County, where the investor loans come due. Remember who was buying Palm Bay in 2021 and 2022, not just families. Small landlords and flippers on hard money and DSCAR loans, short fuses, high rates, refinance or die structures. The plan was simple: rent it or flip it before the loan reset. Then rents flattened, sale prices slipped, and the refinance window closed. A D-SCAR loan that doesn't cover its own payment has exactly one destination, and it's the county courthouse. There's a special wrinkle in Brevard. While most of Florida is seeing insurance rates flatten or fall for the first time since 2015, Brevard County citizens policyholders are looking at a 6.5% increase for 2026. The one part of the cost stack that everyone else is finally getting relief on, Brevard is still paying more for. Here's the part that matters if you live in Palm Bay. An investor default isn't a tragedy for the investor. It's a comp for your street. Their bad loan becomes your appraisal. Number 6, Port St. Lucie. The good news town with a bad news pipeline, Port St. Lucie is genuinely one of Florida's success stories. Real job growth, real infrastructure, half of America's moving lists. Which is why it's so important that ATTOM ranked St. Lucie County the 4th riskiest housing market in the entire country in late 2025. Characterized by, in their words, particularly high foreclosure and unemployment rates. The 2022 closing class here paid record high prices, and per Realtor.com's senior economist Joel Berner, Florida buyers from that vintage unknowingly bought at the peak, and now risk seeing their home value decrease as the market continues to soften. Port St. Lucie proves the thesis. This wave isn't punishing failing towns, it's punishing peak buyers. A 2022 buyer who hits trouble in 2026 can't sell for enough to clear the lien. They're not underwater on the house. They're underwater on the exit. Quick pause. If you've followed me this deep into the list, you're paying closer attention than the people who read one headline and scrolled on. The subscribe button is right there. Now, the top 5 is where the numbers get loud. Number 5, the Davenport Poinciana corridor, where Polk meets Ocala, Florida's short-term rental factory. This corridor was built for a spreadsheet. Thousands of near-identical homes sold as Disney-adjacent Airbnb machines. The pitch was that tourists would pay your mortgage. Then everyone bought the same machine on the same street. The latest short-term rental market data out of Davenport puts average daily rates at around $225 in occupancy, near 53%, for a median property earning about $42,000 a year in gross revenue. Subtract the 11% total lodging tax, the cleaning fees, the insurance, the financing, and the math gets thin fast. An Airbnb that doesn't book is just a house with 2 electric bills and a pool cleaning contract. And because these defaults concentrate on identical floor plans in identical communities, every bank-owned sale reprices 50 clones around it instantly. This is what it looks like when a town's housing stock is secretly a single trade. The trade went bad, the unwinding files one courthouse stamp at a time. Number 4, Lakeland, Polk County. The affordability capital that keeps appearing on the wrong national list. Check ATTOM's metro tables almost any month of this cycle, and you'll find Lakeland at or near the top of America's foreclosure rates. In April 2026, Lakeland once again recorded the highest foreclosure rate of any major metro in the country. One filing for every 1,221 housing units. In the first quarter, Lakeland ranked first nationally among metro areas of any size, 1 in every 409 homes. And Lakeland's April foreclosure starts doubled year over year, jumping from 99 to 199. Polk is also among the 12 Florida counties on ATTOM's list of America's 50 riskiest housing markets this quarter. Why here? Lakeland is where Tampa's and Orlando's priced-out workers landed. The I-4 squeeze, maximum stretch budgets, long commutes priced in gas, and the state's insurance spiral applied to the paychecks least able to absorb it. Lakeland was the answer to where can a working family still afford Florida. The filings are what it looks like when the answer stops being true. Number 3, Jacksonville, the big one literally. The largest city on this list, and the proof this wave reaches major metros. ATTOM ranked the Jacksonville Metro 11th nationally for foreclosure rate among all major American metros, with populations over 1 million in the first quarter of 2026. Jacksonville's exposure is structural. This is the Florida metro where institutional investors bought hardest. By government accountability office figures, large investors owned roughly 21% of Jacksonville's single-family rental market at the peak. Wall Street's purchases helped set the comps. Working families matched them with FHA loans to compete. Now both ends of that trade are unwinding at once. Investor home purchases in Florida are down 28% year over year per Redfin's latest data. The priced-out families who overpaid to outbid them carry the thinnest equity cushions in the city, and early-stage FHA delinquency is rising nationally. Jacksonville's median home price is down roughly 3% over the past year. Every investor default lands as a comp for the working families who paid the same price next door. When Wall Street set your neighborhood's prices on the way up, it sets your neighbor's losses on the way down. Number 2. Lehigh Acres, Lee County. If this video feels familiar to anyone who lived through 2008, Lehigh is why. In the last crash, Lehigh Acres was the national poster child, a speculative grid of pre-platted lots where foreclosure signs outnumbered mailboxes. Different decade, same geometry. Speculators returned in 2021. Spec builders followed. Prices climbed sharply, and the town's eternal weaknesses, no center, no coast commuter dependence, got papered over by momentum. Momentum's gone. Lehigh Acres now has more than 540 foreclosure listings actively on the market. Auction discounts average 32% off, with the average auction price around $161,000 on a median home value of $281,000. The months of supply figure sits above 18, meaning the inventory glut is nearly a year and a half deep, and the entire town sits inside Lee County, which carries some of the harshest insurance quotes in the state, on top of the lowest median incomes in the region. The bank's price becomes the street's price. History doesn't repeat. In Lehigh Acres, it refinances. Number 1, Cape Coral. And if you watched our migration breakdown, you knew this name was coming, because every road in this market leads here. Cape Coral is where all 4 forces on this list converge at maximum strength, the peak price buyers. It was America's most moved-to city in the early 2020s, so more people bought at the top here than anywhere else. The insurance shock. Post-Hurricane Ian premiums on Cape Coral homes now quote anywhere from $3,500 to over $8,000 a year, with carrier rate increases of 30 to 50%. The investor unwind. Canal home speculators and short-term rental operators stacked deep, and Florida investor purchases are down 28% year over year per Redfin. And the welded-shut exit. The Cape Coral-Fort Myers Metro recorded the largest median home price decline of any major city in America in the first quarter, down 9% year over year to $341,250 per CBS News reporting on ATTOM data. The trouble sale that used to clear the loan now comes up short. The result is showing up in the hardest data ATTOM tracks. Cape Coral recorded the 5th highest foreclosure rate among major American metros in April. 1 filing for every 1,628 housing units. Months of supply sits above 8. And REO inventory, actual bank-owned homes, is reappearing on the MLS for the first time in a decade. Picture 1 Canal Street, 12 houses. 2 for sale by owner, cutting price monthly. 1 short sale. 1 list pendants taped to the glass. 8 neighbors watching their equity get marked to market by the unluckiest house on the block. Cape Coral's boom was priced by the most optimistic buyer in America. Its filings are priced by the least. So here's the thread that ties all 10 together. And it's not Florida is collapsing. ATTOM's own report says national foreclosure activity is still below historical norms, and most homeowners in this state are fine. Here's what is true. More than a year of consecutive year-over-year increases. Florida ranked number 1 in America for new foreclosure starts in April. Florida bank repossessions more than doubled year over year, and every town on this list shares the same anatomy. Buyers who stretched at the peak carrying costs that broke the budget, and a falling market that sealed the exit. The rate on the mortgage was never the problem. The envelope stapled to it was. So here's your homework, and it's the most useful 5 minutes you'll spend this week. Your county clerk's website, search list pendants, your zip code, last 90 days. Drop the count and your town in the comments. I read every single one, and those numbers tell the real story better than any headline, including mine. If you believe the real story of this market is the one in the public records, not the press releases, subscribe right now. Next, the strategic default question nobody wants to ask out loud. The Florida counties where walking away just went mainstream. We will see you in the next one.